starting right on time. So welcome to PR Masters. How's everybody doing? Woo! It's great to be with you all. I've been starting off every meeting with an orientation to our club. I am the president of PR Masters, and I want to introduce you to our club because we're different. We're a specialty Toastmasters club focused on public relations. Everybody's welcome and invited. We meet once a month to support and learn from each other on our PR efforts. All our meetings are recorded and posted on our website and on the District 7 Toastmasters YouTube channel. Our club has the elements of a typical Toastmasters club. We've got the prepared speeches, the table topics, and the evaluations, just like all the other Toastmasters clubs. We've modified these elements to support our goal of growing our public relations skills. And to further support our internal public relations, we've added mini engagement sections to the meeting. For prepared speeches, we focus on PR-related topics, and they tend to be longer than 5 to 7 minutes. Although today, I believe they both are 5 to 7 minutes. Table topics are designed to support the public relations of our home clubs. We regularly feature Flash Like, Show Us Your Page, and Dear PR Masters. These table topic sections are explained later in the meeting. Evaluations are key to continued growth and improvement in any organization. In the interest of time, PR Masters has eliminated the counter and grammarian roles. We still have the timer, the speech evaluations, and the general evaluation. Mini engagement, I'm going to talk about that now. At Public Relations Masters, PR Masters, we seek to engage and involve all the people attending. That's why we've added these experimental mini engagement sections to the meeting. Examples are Mentimeter, which is a prompt for feedback in the chat, or maybe a brief chair dance party. Expect the mini engagement sections to be different at every PR Masters meeting. We really like to shake things up here, including by dancing. Woo, Marcy, go for it. And Bill, yeah. All right, like all Toastmasters clubs, we're unique and we learn as we go. So welcome to PR Masters and thank you for being here. I think we may have a few brand new people. Can you share briefly what brought you here tonight? Let's see. I saw we had John Gill. John, can you tell us what brought you here? Have you come before?
Yes, I came to your leadership meeting. Your planning meeting.
Oh, that's right. I thought I recognized your name. I can't really see your face very well.
Okay.
What brought you here tonight?
I came here tonight because I wanted to check out your meeting because you've got a very unique style of meeting. I found your group on the group suggestions on Facebook, and yeah, I'm a VPPR. I love training on VPPR, so my favorite role in Toastmasters. And so that's why I kind of came to your group and then saw you had a club associated with your group and decided to come check out your meeting. So,
thank you for joining us. It's great to have you. We'll ask you for feedback at the end. All right, we have another guest, Victoria Douglas. I hope I said that right. Please correct me if not.
Thank you, Toastmaster. I have been before once, but I took on a coaching role with a club which clashes with this meeting. But in Australia, us going on to daylight saving and somewhere in the US, you coming off it meant that it's now seems to be working for me to be able to attend. So here I am.
Fantastic. It's wonderful to have you. Yay. All right, we have a guest evaluator, Tamsin Corbin. I know we've had you come to our meetings before, and it's really great to have you again. Tell us what brought you here today.
Somebody asking if I was coming to be an evaluator?
Yeah, all right. Well,
my name was on a possible list and they're like, hey, do you want a role? And I'm like, yes, I want a role. No, I love coming to this club and finding out. I always find out little tips and tidbits and everything else that I can share with my other club and or people in general that are just out there trying to figure out with their companies and stuff like that, how to promote them better. So I just love coming here and learning about the new things that are out there.
Thank you so much, Tamsin. What about you, Bev Ward?
Hey everyone, this is my first time here. I am a vice president of PR many times over, unfortunately. Nobody else seems to want to do it. Marcy has talked about you guys many times. Other people have also talked about you. Marcy's speaking tonight, and she suggested on Monday night that her enticing title and topic, and I thought I would stop by and check out the club, check out Marcy's speech, and obviously by the sounds of it, there's going to be lots of good stuff to check out tonight. So thank you for having me.
For coming. Okay, Val, thank you for coming. What brought you here today? I know we've had you here before.
Oh, I'm not a VPPR, but I'm very interested in all promotions, and I really enjoyed and learned a lot from previous times I've come, and I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to learn more. We never stop learning.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming. If you're interested in joining our club, we'd sure love it. And our application form will be posted in the chat. We'll also call on you at the end of the meeting. And now I'd like to bring up our Toastmaster, Matthew. Everybody welcome Matthew.
Hey, everybody. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be Toastmasters tonight. Our theme this evening is tone, PR tones. Tone reveals so much about the attitude that the author has about a topic or subject to the folks that are reading our messaging. And it can be provided in so many different ways, whether it's how you punctuate something, an exclamation point or a question mark, how you create your sentence structure, or even your word choice. It's really similar to how we engage people as Toastmasters, right? We use vocal variety or gesture. So think about these tools in your writing as similar kinds of tools that relate to that instead. At the end of the day, it helps to create an emotional bond with the reader. Our meeting today happens with the help of a few functionaries, and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves now. Let's start with our timer, Carissa. Can you unmute and tell us what she'll be doing?
Hello, everyone. I am Carissa Young, your timer for today's meeting. As you may be familiar, I time prepared speeches, table topic speeches, and evaluations. I believe today's speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. And as you might expect, I'd show green at 5, yellow at 6, red at 7. And our table topics tonight might vary in length. I will leave it to the table topics masters to announce what their expectations are. And you better be on alert because sometimes it's non-standard at this meeting. Thank you. I will also give reports throughout the meeting as Toastmaster wishes. Thank you.
Thanks so much. The second person that I want to introduce is our group feedback leader, Jennifer. Jennifer, can you explain what we're doing for group feedback?
Yes, thank you, Matthew. For feedback after each speech, I'll be asking for your immediate feedback about that speech and how it resonates with you. Back to you, Matthew.
Thanks so much. Our meeting today is divided into 3 pieces. The first is prepared speeches. The second is table topics. And the third is evaluation. Let's start with our prepared speeches and hear from our first evaluator, our first guest evaluator, Tamsin Corbin. Tamsin, can you unmute and let us know about our first speaker?
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes, I appreciate you guys inviting me to be an evaluator, and I'm especially excited to listen to Marcy's speech tonight. She is talking from the motivational strategies path. She is on, I believe, level 3, and her project tonight is connect with your audience, which I think is going to be kind of unique and kind of fun because Matthew was just talking about that emotional bond. And this time it's going to be with the audience, not with the reader. She's asked me to look for 2 different things. The first thing is it interesting? Are you following along as she's speaking? And the second thing is she able to adapt? Are you, if somebody has a question or something, a look in the eye and everything else, is the audience able to then implement when she has changed what she's saying, so that again, they are thoroughly engrossed in what she is saying and they take away what she is wanting them to take away? So those are the two things that I'm going to key on. And there's other things, possibly vocal variety and such like that, that I will play upon if I see some really unique things that I can call out upon. Mr. Toastmaster.
Let's go ahead and call up to the virtual stage our first speaker, Marcy. Marcy's speech is signs, signs, everywhere a sign. Is it 10 minutes or 5 to 7 minutes? Looks like it's 5 to 7 minutes.
Signs, signs. Everywhere there's signs. Blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind. Do this, don't do that. Can't you read the sign? Don't we find that happening to us a lot when we're VPs of public relations? There's all kinds of things we're supposed to do and not to do. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the signs that can guide us in the right direction as we move along the path of creating a great presentation with our posts, particularly in social media. In this case, I'm going to give you some signs to look at to evaluate how you're doing as you move forward with that. And as always, there's the fun of trying to get the play to, there, it is working for me. Wonderful, thank you. I love adapting to technology in this screen where we can't see and move things around, particularly as it goes forward. So stories are how we learn. Okay, stories, numbers tell, stories sell. I don't like numbers a whole lot. In fact, I try to avoid them as much as I can, unless, this is very strange, they have something to do with giving me some insights into what's happening with my social media. I find it fascinating then. This was one of the original posts from my home club, our first meeting back. And we had a great response to this sign. This is one of our former VP Education, who is also a newcomer to Canada, and he was sharing. This enticed people. Going back to our meeting last week, we heard about how you had 3 seconds to engage people and the importance of getting with everyone. He had a great title here that drew attention right away. And you can see here from the numbers that come back, this is the signs of how this post engaged. We had 400.
Marcy, I'm going to interrupt you for a moment to let you know that the screen that we're seeing is the beginning slide. We're seeing the overall presentation, like with your slides on the left, instead of your actual slide presentation. And I know you're referencing your.
Okay. Oh, I love technology. And I know how to do this. Okay.
There we go. Signpost performance.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the interruption, Maren, and I appreciate the fact that I could see people and I didn't block everybody out, because I would not have seen the hand waving at me as we adapt. Anyways, Masood's speech was, it's a wonderful thing, and the joy of having the challenge with language. Now, I wanted to just draw a couple of things that this told you, that we reached 463 people. We had 90 engagements with this post, and there were 35 people clicked on the post. These are important things to look at when we're doing. Another sign that you have is as soon as you open up your Facebook page, if you are the page manager, you have an insights, a quick summary that'll let you know what's doing, and you can adjust it for different periods of time. I've chosen to show you what our engagement was at my club for 1 month, the previous month, what happened. Another thing that's really important in the signs we're looking at is to know about our audience. When are they there? When are they going, what periods of time? This is the average over a 1 week period of time. But if you click on any of these days, you will find there's another line shows up and varies. I chose to highlight this sign for you because it's the day that we have the greatest amount of people online, and it varies from the average. Why is this sign important? It tells me when I should be posting to get the most engagement, to garner the best response, and to let people know. Now I'm going to move over to our district's Facebook page. Here, this is the same engagement for a month. But another sign that you can have is the kind of post. Where are you getting the greatest reach? And what is the average engagement with it? Are people clicking? Are they commenting? What are their kind of reactions and comments? And the more reactions and comments we get, the better it is. And if you move away from the thumbs up or the hearts or the smiley faces, carrying hearts, that's a sign for Facebook. It's not a sign for us. It lets Facebook know what's happening and what you want in your feed. We need to look at these signs to be able to move forward. Another opportunity that you get to do is you can look at all of your posts throughout and see how they react. You then can move on and see what the specifics were. Why did this post garner so much attention? We want to respond and create more of the posts that are going to garner attention and build engagement. Dr. Smedley said, you're not a real member of a group until you take part in a conversation. Being on social media is another way to take part in a conversation. You use your voice, you change the tone. We have a lot of fun within PR Masters, supporting each other and even getting to know each other outside of our club website. Another thing that you can do is you can watch other pages and draw some comparisons. I love this because District 82 has 9.6 thousand followers. They had 460 engagements in the last week. District 42 only has 1,000, but we had 913 engagements. It's looking for those things. I thank you, and I encourage you to look at the signs, but I'd love if you connected with me and we could discuss it further. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Excellent. Let's hear from our feedback master, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Gives me the opportunity to do this just a little bit. Which is quite. What resonated with you? I put the question in the chat. In 1, 2, or 3 words, what a speaker really needs to know is what stands out, what's memorable, what are the parts of that speech that really grip the audience. So if you could say that in chat, I'll share some of the answers. 1, 2, or 3 words, please. Data provides direction, pages to watch, engagement matters. Pages have helpful analytics to learn what the audience likes. The slogan about stories tell, numbers tell, use the numbers. Numbers were key, Marcy. Know your audience, clean slides, useful data. So the word garner, okay. Not sure if I'm getting that right. Use words. So it sounds like there's a lot of data, a lot of numbers. Is there anything else somebody would like to add to help Marcy of what really stood out and resonate? Comparisons need further assessment to understand differences. Compare with other pages. So that, all right. Conversations matter, join in. We have access to great data with Facebook, perfect. Know the time to post for better engagement, reaching thousands of people, Smedley quote, those are always good. Good job, Marcy. If there isn't anything else, I will turn it back to our Toastmaster, Matthew.
Thank you very much. Marcy, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. How do we do at listening? Do you think that there's anything that you want to?
I think you did a great job listening. I appreciate the feedback. I like that part of Toastmasters. It's the reason I didn't come for so many years, and now it's what I want most.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a second speaker. Our second evaluator, Andrea, can introduce our second speaker, Daniel.
All right. Very much looking forward to Daniel's speech today. His speech title is All About Style, and his name is Daniel Brewer. His speech is 5 to 7 minutes long. Really looking forward to this speech. I think I don't know if I sent it back to you, Matthew. I think that's what we did last time. Send it back to you.
We just need to introduce Daniel. So without further ado, Daniel, tell us all about style.
First, unmute.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. It was 2003. I was kind of burned out at my tech job with my company, and everybody at my company was migrating to one of a handful of places, one of which was Yahoo. I was a brand new father. We were getting ready to move to the other side of town, and most of my friends were really happy for me that I got the chance to work for one of the biggies. Back then, Yahoo was one of the biggies. It was Yahoo and Google at that point, and we got kind of past a few years later, but at the moment it was fun, and I got the chance to work there for 10 years, and it was one of the more fun jobs I can tell you I had. The first day I got to work, I knew my property was going to be Yahoo Finance. I was so excited to start writing content for Yahoo Finance. I figured they'd give me the computer, they'd put me on Yahoo Finance, and they'd say, learn about the site because you're going to be writing about it. No, I get there and they plop one of these down on my desk. And they said, you're going to read this. And it's the Yahoo Style Guide. And I've been doing technical writing for 10 years prior to this. And I've been doing writing in journalism and other areas for years before that. They handed this style guide to me, and I kind of questioned them and said, really? And they said, you have to understand, half of our company writes content for the web and for print. When I was done reading this, by the way, they handed me the Franklin Covey style guide that they use for printed material. So Before I even got to look at my property, I had to read 2 big, thick books. It was like being in college again. The reason is because with so many contributors, they have to look professional. And they said, we have to get it right every single time. What you might think is the right way to do one thing might be a different way than somebody else wants to do the same thing. And we have to look like we're professional. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to show you an example of why this became important. I'm going to share my screen. And there it is. And can you guys see my screen? I've got a sentence in there. Is that right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm going to put this sentence out there, and I would like to have you guys read it, and I'm going to ask for some audience participation. And if somebody can watch the hands for me, because when I share, I only can see like 4 of you. So according to the email I received, the Trailblazers game begins at 7 p.m. Now, I'm going to reference 3 different references on this sentence. The first one being the Funk and Wagnalls dictionary that I keep on my desk. The second one being the Franklin Covey style guide, which is mostly for printed writing, and the Yahoo style guide, which is the definitive source, even today, for web style. Now, first, I'm going to reference the dictionary, because according to the dictionary, this sentence as written is perfectly fine. It's grammatically correct, and it follows all the rules. What do you bet that according to these style guides, that's not the case? Anybody want to take a guess? First, we're going to use the Franklin Covey style guide for printed works. And I would like to see if anybody might guess where this fails on a style guide for printed, if I was going to print this out and have it for like a newspaper. Can somebody just see what might be problematic?
Joe Dudman has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I would think that email would be lowercase e with no dash. And just as a Portland native, Trailblazers is 2 words, but I don't know if that's covered by those guides.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're right. The Franklin Covey guide, first of all, email is correct, spelled correctly, but it is only capitalized in the case if it's the beginning of a sentence, and if you're talking about an email program, like Thunderbird email client, for example. Trailblazers, yes, Trailblazers is 2 words, but it wasn't always. They used to be a 1-word name, and they used to use what we call title case. So I will correct those. Now, in addition to those, if I go to the Yahoo style guide, this sentence fails on 6 different levels. First of all, the word email, as Joe pointed out, is not correct with a dash. The word Trailblazers is actually correct if you're talking about the team. Actually, it's incorrect because according to the Yahoo style guide, and it has a listing here of all the teams and how you're supposed to spell them. Yahoo has a sports property, so, and it's a capital T, capital B. By the way, this has recently changed. It changed about 4 years ago. Trailblazers was 1 word, and then they got sued over copyright because Trailblazers as 1 word had different connotations, and I think it's I'm not sure who had a problem with it, but somebody did. Anybody guess where the 3rd failure is? Emily.
I think maybe that first clause is passive voice, and it should say something like the email says.
Okay, that's possible. That wasn't what I was going for, but I like it. I'm fine to fix that. Anybody else? Oh, we have a bunch of hands. Carissa.
I'm thinking PM. There, you need a space
Yeah,
after
how many
7.
ways? You're correct. How many ways are there to write AM and PM?
I do
They're all over
periods
the board.
too.
Can you think? Can you think that everybody does it differently, right? So we had to look through here and see how they want it. And guess what? First of all, you would never say 7 p.m. This is text writing. We would say 7 o'clock. We would not even say lowercase p.m. We would say 7 o'clock p.m. And there's still something wrong with it. Matt, do you know what it is?
I think so. It needs a PST or an EST or whatever
You're
time zone.
right
that
on the
you
button
put in.
here. You have to say something. You have to. We're in worldwide time zones here, so we would have to say PST here, and let people know where we're at. So the point I'm trying to make here is, you need to have standards when you have a lot of contributors so that we look professional. Now, a lot of us are doing writing for Toastmasters. We're doing our clubs and so forth. Thankfully, Toastmasters has given us some help, because 90% of our clubs use as their web host, they either use Free Toast Host or Easy Speak, and all the templates that they have conform to Toastmaster style. But does Toastmasters have its own style guide? The answer is yes, they do. And I just switched. Can you guys see the brand portal?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you go to Toastmasters.com and you go to resources, you have a chance to go to the brand portal. And here are website templates, the logos. We want to put logos on our websites when we're writing for Toastmasters. And what I would really stress is, when you're putting together the web content, you want to go here every time and pull the designs you need, the resources you need. Because shockingly, in this world, stuff changes. And so we want to be sure we're getting the correct stuff. At one point, I put together a blog. I was doing a Toastmasters blog when I was a member of so many clubs. And I called them to say, how do I make sure it's conforming? And they said, you got to come here every time. And they were right, because we're all writing stuff for our different websites. All I can say is, when you start developing content for your website and for your club's website, what's your style? Mr. Toastmaster.
Daniel, thank you so much. Jennifer, let's get some feedback for this man.
All right, back in the chat is the question for Daniel. Similar question. I'll do this very lightly, so it's not hurting anybody's ears. I just love it, because I can never play it anywhere else. I don't have a little xylophone band somewhere. So in 1, 2, or 3 words, tell Daniel what resonated with you, what stood out, like initially. And if you could do it as quick as possible, what's really sticking with you, that would help the most. Because whatever you're remembering, whatever is really sticking with you is what we want Daniel to know. Okay. Wow, you are going fast. Okay. PR takes more time than folks think. Check every time. Audience interaction examples, user style guides, real life example, brand portal, pay attention to style. There's a grammarian feature in Word application, TM brand resources, importance of the style guide. What does the audience need to fully understand the content? Style change, review twice or more before posting. All great suggestions. Brand resources, always update. So it sounds like a lot of the details stood out. The example stood out. Having the interaction stood out. Is there anything else somebody would like to add? international audience. Think of other perspectives, great use of props. TI has everything about PR. Keep it simple. Wow. I thought you did a great job, Daniel. You gave us a lot of information, made it very interactive. And it's fun to see kind of the process, because with public relations, everything seems like magic, doesn't it? It just happens. There's no hours of work and everything. No, that's not true. Poof. Yes, that's the last comment. All right, with that, thank you all for giving Daniel your feedback. If you have more to give him or Marcy, you could do it in the chat direct if you want to say more things, or contact them through Slack. And I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. That was great. Appreciate it, Jennifer. Before we move to the second part of our meeting, let's hear from Carissa on timing for our first two speeches.
Marcy's speech came in at 7 minutes, 43 seconds. Daniel's speech, 9 minutes and 48 seconds.
Wonderful. The second portion of our meeting is table topics, and our table topics master is Adam. Adam, what do you have prepared for us today?
Thank you, Matthew. The theme for today's meeting is voice and tone. So when I think of voice and tone, I think for a specific to a Toastmasters club, I think it has a connection to the branding and the identity of your club. It's what you project about your club to the external audience. In today's table topics, I would love to learn from all the smart people in this virtual room all the different ways you can convey these values, which I have a list of these so-called tenets. It could be the club values or whatever that is. How do you convey that to the external audience? And this branding, identity, the voice and tone of your club greatly ties to your PR. Like that might govern how you run your meetings, how you engage in social media, how you publicize information about your club. They're all kind of tied together. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to pick out a topic, and we'll keep it to maybe 1 or 2 speakers per topic. And each speaker can get on the virtual stage and do a brief, like 1 to 1.5 minute speech, and we can go from there. And just to get your the mental gears running, it could be something in the lines of, let's say, engagement. And someone might say, oh, the way we demonstrate engagement through our club, through the voice and tone of our club, is we allow people to chit chat in between speeches. We don't care if it's distracting, but we want engagement. Engagement is king. So that is something about our club, that's how we convey engagement in our voice and tone. Something of that sort. So let's see, the first one is professional. And I'm looking for volunteers to raise their hand and convey how you would convey professionalism. Zeta, do I have your hand up? Do you have your hand up?
I can give it a shot.
Go ahead.
So what is the question?
How do you convey professionalism in your club's voice and tone?
Professionalism in my club with a voice and tone. Our voices really reflects on how we feel. But I learned in my profession, I can say and be direct, but it depends on how you say it. It's like saying, I'm really mad at you, and then you smile. Maybe I can be disappointed, And sometimes, you know, when you are disappointed, then you can lower down your voice. I'm sorry, you know. And then when you're excited, but I mean, excitement is very contagious. You know, I love the people here in PR Master. Hey, I'm so happy today. You know, it's just a beautiful day. And it is very contagious. And I learned that. But if you mop around, you know, it's also contagious when you are showing how depressed and it's just being negative about something. But I think excitement and smile. There's a saying, when you smile, the world smile at you. When you laugh, the world laugh at you. When you cry alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeta. You talk about excitement and smiles and enthusiasm, and I think you exemplify that completely. So we love that about you. Thank you, Zeta. Next, we have Andrea. Go ahead.
We convey the professional tone through, it might not even be through voice. It might just be through starting a meeting on time, being concise with your answers, doing things on schedule, keeping to the schedule, being prepared, and being ready to step in without getting flustered. Those are some of the ways that our club or people in our club convey professionalism.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I completely agree. That shows people that you value their time. So that preparedness is definitely something a lot of people appreciate. Thank you. Okay, next we have respectful. Wants to take a shot at that? A show of hands. Okay, first we have Maren, then Jennifer. Okay, Maren, go ahead.
I really enjoy growing our evaluation skills in order to convey respect to the work that has been put in by the speaker. And when you come from that perspective and the how can we, you've done this really well, how can we make it even better? That's showing the respect for the work done and showing your desire to support their growth. And I think that's a huge element of respect in the clubs that I'm in. And I think that's important.
Thank you. Yeah, I think some people, sometimes we tend to, and I'm guilty of that. Like sometimes we take up a role and we do a cursory job of evaluating just to kind of check the box, but having that commitment to another person's development and progress is definitely something that we should stress on. Okay, Jennifer, you want to take a shot at this?
I would say something similar. Evaluations tend to scare people because you're presenting your thoughts to an audience and you want to do well, and you're a little hesitant to hear what didn't quite go right. So having someone who really wants you, they're for you. They're not there to criticize you. They're there to help you and point out what you did well, and also what resonated with them, what stood out for them. The things that were right help too, because then you know you're going on a right track. And also transitions, respectful transitions, going from one person to another. If somebody goes over time or something, you're smoothing it over as the Toastmaster and going on to the next person, acknowledging what the person before the next person contributed, but you're doing it in a respectful way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Making sure about the transitions are smooth and maintaining the respect of it. Definitely agree with that. Bob, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. There's a few things that come to mind for my club, Babylon Toastmasters, which is a hybrid club that meets 4 o'clock on Sunday. Shameless plug there. The first is we start on time, which has been mentioned. And along with that, we make sure that we know the Zoom link which is something that I'm guilty of right here with all of you. So I want to make an apology. For some reason, I seem to have a problem with Eventbrite, and I want to thank Adam for responding to my email so I could be there. Along the lines of being a hybrid club, there's a lot of kinks, let's say, that we're working out. It's new territory that we're putting together in, as all of you know, the pandemic era. So it's been very important as we have the in-person part of the hybrid club for all of us to be okay with masking and be patient with each other as we learn the equipment and be able to move forward and use these times to thrive. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. I think there's a lot to learn as we move to the hybrid setup. So that's going to be really interesting. Okay, let's see. The next topic we have is warm and friendly. Sure, I'm expecting a lot of hand raising here, so don't let me down. And guests, John, Bev, Val, don't be shy. Feel free to speak up. Not sure if I missed anyone. Bob, you spoke. Victoria. Okay, Maren, go ahead.
Sure, I'll feed the meter. It all starts with welcome. And since we're PR masters, it starts with the welcome that you write into your content. Is it friendly? Does it say, hey, I want to go to that? Is it saying, oh, there's a value I might gain? And then when people walk through the window or the door, are we greeting them? The conversation in the room flowing relatively smoothly? Because sometimes there's hiccups, right, at the beginning of the meeting. Like we might be assigning roles, but how is that looking to the audience that has come in? Are we working together? And that people want to join a team that's working together. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Maren. I think I agree with a lot of that. And specific to assigning roles, what we sometimes do is we admit it, like, hey, things didn't work out, like there were some issues last minute, but hey, why don't you take up a role? So that's what we do sometimes with our guests. So okay, let's see, Andrea.
Echo some of the things Maren said, being welcoming right at the beginning, right from the start, noticing who's there, who's in the room, who's new, who's been there for a while. All of that contributes to making a welcoming and friendly atmosphere, including the guests, inviting them to speak. And then including people who have been around, giving everybody a chance to speak makes it a warm and inviting and welcoming environment. And then that goes for your public relations on social media as well. If you've got new people, you welcome them. And you greet your people that you've had for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And I think, yeah, I have seen this exemplified through our social media, where Maren does a really good job of welcoming new people, and Andrea herself, at least at the beginning of the meeting, she's very good about picking out all the guests from the Zoom list and welcoming them. Marcy, I believe at some point you had your hand raised. I don't see you. Where's Marcy? Oh, there you go. Did you have your hand raised?
I did. One of the things that we said warm and comforting, and this is one of the things I feel our club does exceptionally well, both at our meetings and online. We're there to support each other and encourage each other at all times, showing that we want to work cohesively as a team. The commitment that is displayed to each other creates that warm, cozy, trusting feeling that we long for, to develop community. And we do the same thing on posts. when we are using our social platforms. We encourage each other to post, but I notice that we're all developing relationships now as a result of that. Because, oh, it's social media. Social for a reason. Not just the media, but social. Delightful. Back to you, Madam, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Marcy. And yeah, I'm guilty of that. I need to do a better job of engaging with all the social media posts. Yeah, for sure. Lots of great insights there. I loved being your Table Topics host. Back to our Toastmaster, Matthew.
Thanks so much, Adam. That was great fun. We are going to slide into another impromptu speaking opportunity and hear from our dear PR master, Joe. Joe, can you unmute and tell us what's in the mailbag today?
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, this is the part of the meeting where we draw a letter from somewhere out of the mailbag, read a question, and ask our members and guests to answer the question and give some advice. So let's see what today's question is. This is from New Club Ned from Nashville. New Club Ned from Nashville writes, Dear PR Masters, my Toastmasters Club is small and only a few years old. As such, we have struggled attracting and maintaining a full slate of officers and fulfilling the various tasks and responsibilities the club officers need to get done to help the club survive, thrive, and grow. We need good PR within the club itself to show that the VPR role is fun and worthwhile. Only then can we work on effectively promoting the club to promote potential members outside the club. Dear PR Masters, what would you tell a prospective VPPR to get them excited about the role? And what advice would you give them about staying engaged and not burning out too soon? Thank you. New Club Ned from Nashville. At this point, I would like to ask if anybody has any suggestions. Any ideas for New Club Ned? Jennifer, I see your hand raised.
The VP of PR role is fun. And even though it involves some work, you learn a lot, especially if you go into Canva. I had a great time being VP of PR of New Horizons in the last term. And New Horizons meets Saturdays, 8 a.m. PST. I want the shameless plug for New Horizons in there. But I would tell Ned, it's fun and don't do it alone. Get some friends to help. Play in Canva, you can actually work together remotely on the same screen. You could have discussions. You can talk about different ways to promote your club and make it a fun experience, because Toastmasters is not a job. It's supposed to be fun. It's volunteer. It's what we do in our leisure time, and it shouldn't be like a job. So that's what I'd tell Ned. Back to you, Mr. Dear PR Master.
Thank you, Jennifer. I agree. I think Toastmasters is supposed to be fun. That's what I try to get out of it, and that's what I try to tell people. That's great. I know we have a few other VPPRs with us tonight, including a couple guests. I see some hands raised too. Let's go with Andrea first, and then we can ask some guests, VPPRs, if they have some advice too. Andrea?
Andrea, thank you. Thank you for calling on me. I would say to Ned, VPPR is an opportunity to put yourself out there. If you think putting yourself out there as a Toastmaster, getting up and speaking in front of people, that's one level. Then getting up and speaking in front of a bunch of people through social media is another level. So it's a way to take yourself, put yourself out there in bigger and bigger and bigger ways. I see people being really hesitant even to just share that they're a Toastmaster, or to share their posts on their own page. putting yourself out there as a Toastmaster, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. It's great to be a Toastmaster, and sharing with folks that part of yourself is a way to expand your network, expand who sees you, expand your visibility. So I started doing that. I got more comfortable posting publicly, just in general, and I started getting on in the newspaper. I got in the newspaper. Now I've been in the newspaper multiple times, and now I've been on TV. So it's like, okay, I'm getting more and more comfortable being seen. So I would just say that to any VPPR, this is a great way to be seen.
Great, thanks, Andrea. Matthew, you have your hand raised. Let's hear some good advice from you.
Sure. The advice that I would offer is, as a VPPR of a small club, you've got to take advantage of the content that is easily available to you. And it comes in two ways. One is, what are the members of your club achieving? Are they finishing levels and pathways? Are they delivering a first icebreaker? Are they taking new roles that they haven't tried before? These are things that you can publicize and talk about and share. And people love to hear about their accomplishments. The second thing is, you can share the things that are happening outside Toastmasters. Believe it or not, we all have lives outside of Toastmasters. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening. Being able to hear about that from your fellow Toastmasters, the exciting jobs or trainings, books that we're reading, anything are worth sharing and creating community, which is our goal, to be able to really grow a club organically.
Great, thanks, Matthew. I'm sure Ned will take that to heart. Daniel, now you have your hand raised. I'm sure you have some good advice too.
I don't have great advice, except the advice I have is simply to keep it simple and don't overlook the obvious. Sometimes the solution is right in front of you and you try to overthink it and try to overwork it. Sometimes a posting on a social media site like Nextdoor it's free, it's cheap, it's amazing what the stuff that's right in front of you, you don't even know it's there. I'm trying to grow a small business right now, and I found that putting a sign in my yard that I've got a business has gotten me business. People take a walk, they walk by my house, they take a picture of the sign, they call me up. It's something you might think something is, well, you know what, I really need to do a little bit more here. It's like, no, you don't. Sometimes the obvious is what you need to do. Is the smart thing is just right in front of you, and you fail to see, what do they say, the forest for the trees? So I would say keep it simple and check the stuff that's right close to you.
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, as Marcy would say, signs, everywhere a sign, and they really pay off a lot. All right, Bob, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to piggyback on what Daniel said. And I was doubtful and proven wrong in my club when we posted on Meetup. We've had many guests and quite a few members as a result of Meetup consistently, and many individuals who have never been to a Toastmasters club. So I was happily proven wrong in that respect. And I would encourage folks to use Meetup and other Nextdoor and all those other type of good things.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, there are a lot of good resources like that. And sometimes they're effective. Sometimes they may not be, but might as well try it. You just don't know. Zeta, do you have some advice for Ned?
Well, talking about social media, There are a lot of resources. Of course, social media is the cheapest way to advertise. But my suggestion is, if you turn that comments or whoever, comments on your post into a blog or like a personalized chat, people who likes, others, they like you too. If you find something in common, sometimes, you can, I usually check, what do they like? Check the profile. If they made a comment in your post, and in that way, it's like getting to know the other party, getting to know your audience personally. And usually what happens is we have a lot of prospects, all of us, and maybe I'm guilty of it. How do we close that prospect? How do we make them, or how do we convince them to be the member of the church? It's all about closing. How do you close? You're not really selling the club. If that was me or you are selling yourself. Really. People do business to people that they like. It's in us. Sometimes the problem is me, in us. Are we doing our job to close that deal? Are we making it more personalized? Because sometimes it's the way we approach people, something in me. And I know, I'm guilty probably sometimes. We have to learn to close. How do we close? It's just like selling. You can tell all the good things about this product, but if you don't know how to sell and close, you end up with nada. That's just what I can say. Thank you.
Thanks, Zaida. Yeah, Toastmasters is about people and selling your club as a group of people and how they interact. And that's great advice. Maren, what can you tell Ned?
Well, you're a new club, Ned. About what you can do.
Headbutt.
Small from the beginning.
2021.
And then grow from there. Encourage the thinking pattern about social media. Partially the difference between a page and a group. Groups allow the group to post, which means that it might not just be your responsibility to share out about the club. There are many other leadership team members, and your membership themselves might want to post at certain times or have a project of their own. And I really like what Zeta just said about how do you sell? How do you show that the relationship continues outside of the club environment? Especially in this club, Ned, for example, we have a month between each meeting. How do we build relationships? Our group is a place for that. Other benefit of steering people toward a social media, like, hey, join our Facebook page, join our Facebook group, is that ongoing seeing a post go by your face. And it triggers a memory of the meeting they went to, and it builds upon that good feeling that we're inspiring through our PR tone. I really encourage you to look at which channel you're going to decide to use, commit to it for a while, see how your audience grows, your membership involved, because they're going to sell that club, your new club, to others. That's my encouraging advice to any new VPPR. Start small, start with your club members.
Great, excellent, Maren. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. That was great advice for Ned. I'll tell him, if he's not listening now, I'll tell him, pass on that advice to Ned, and I'll send it back to Matthew. Mr. Toastmaster.
Ned, there you go. All the answers fit to print. Let's hear from Carissa again on our timing for the second portion of our meeting. How did we do?
We are timely. Adam's table topics was about 14 minutes overall, and pretty much the same for Joe. Great job.
Excellent. Always love running a tight ship. The third portion of our meeting is evaluations. And for this ever important job, we have a general evaluator. The general evaluator today is Bill Maher. Bill.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. It's good to be here this evening as general evaluator. As somebody mentioned earlier on in the meeting, we come to these meetings to learn things and to hear insights and to have some fun, but the takeaway, always the takeaway, is the evaluations. That's when we really help to learn, to be challenged in how things are presented and how we can improve next time around. I'm looking forward to a couple of evaluations of our prepared speeches, and then I will give an evaluation of the meeting to this time. Our first evaluator is Tamsin, who will be giving us some insights into Marcy's presentation and speech. Tamsin, please share your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Signs, signs, signs. There's signs everywhere. I loved how you opened it. You engaged us. You got us going, oh, I can't wait. What is she going to talk about next? You had your hands going. You were looking all about, which is sometimes difficult since we are in this little square. When we're in person, it's a lot easier to move our body and our eyes and everything else. So I really appreciated that that's how you drew us in the very beginning of your speech. And then you said, oh yeah, signs tied to PR. So I'm like, oh, cool, I can't wait. And then you're like, no, it's not about that. So you had me going and going, okay, so how is this gonna go? Where is she gonna go from here? And then you started talking about how this is going to be tied to Facebook. Now, unfortunately for me, there was a little glitch because I was sitting there listening to you and looking at the slide going, wait, there should be a different slide. There should be a different slide. You went on seamlessly, and like any good presenter, you got interrupted. You got told that, hey, guess what? You're not on the right slide. No problem. We're Toastmasters. You were very skilled. You took a second. You even had to say out loud, hey, guess what? Technology happens. You then went, got on the right slide, and continued smoothly in there. You didn't really need to take a breath. You didn't get all flustered. You were really calm and cool throughout that whole thing, and I really appreciated that. One thing which I thought was just excellent was your clear, concise, and very well organized slides. You even had some of them when you were talking about with the Facebook one, you had the numbers circled. So we weren't looking all over the slide to figure out where numbers is. You specifically highlighted and circled 3 different of the numbers of the ones that you spoke to. So as you were speaking, we're not trying to read the slides. And then you went on to the next one. So again, I think that you did that very well done. You didn't have too much information, but you had enough information where it piqued our interest. We wanted to know more. And from that, you went on to, okay, not just in my club, but also my district. So you let the people know that, hey, look, this isn't even just something you can do this. You can share this with other people within your district. On that side, I would like to say a challenge for you. Based upon what I saw in that presentation, I'd like to see like a longer presentation or maybe a workshop. I'd love for you to physically share your screen with Facebook and show us, where do you find that information? Because as me as a guest, and that might not be something, maybe this is widely known throughout, but I'd like to know, where did you get that information so that I can bring that back to my club? I want to be able to provide them with that information of, ooh, when is the best time to engage with them? Ooh, how many people really did look at our Facebook? So I'd love to see this as an exploded workshop. And one other fun thing, and this is a technology thing, I'm not sure if you know, but you have the ability to actually kind of be like a weatherman. You can be on your screen when you're sharing slides. So instead of seeing you over on the corner, you can actually pop up and you'll be in front of them. And if that is something you're interested in, there's different things on Zoom, but we have a lot of different ways to do that. But fantastic. I loved how you closed with your information. You want people to reach out to you to give you more information. So I think, yes, you had the interest in it. Yes, it was very easily understood. And I think you did an excellent job. And I look forward to hopefully hearing you again in the future, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Tamsin, for that wonderful evaluation. The second evaluator for our second prepared speech is Andrea, who will be giving us some insights on Daniel's presentation. Andrea, please share with us.
Thank you, Bill. Daniel, I think the favorite thing I had about your speech was you told us a story that came from your life, and that made it really land. We heard from you about how you changed jobs and you were excited about your new job. And you showed up and you got a surprise with a big, thick book, which isn't really what I would expect working at a technology company. You don't expect like that you're going to have to read paper. At least not anymore. Maybe back in the day you did. So to make it even better, I would make your speech even better. I would create a stronger punch to the beginning, kind of make that beginning part a little tighter, a little shorter. And then what was also a great part of your speech was all the audience participation that you had. We all really enjoyed getting to give you ideas about what you were thinking about. I love how you did incorporate that audience feedback. A thing I noticed, there was maybe some background music. So maybe you might want to check that next time to see if you have anything going on in the background that could be distracting. The thing that was really also powerful with that big book, that prop that you brought, was to show how much thought goes into these standards and how it is important to come together on who you're trying to be as an organization. Yahoo has obviously thought about it a lot, and Toastmasters has thought about it a lot. So it was really cool how you brought it back to Toastmasters. First, you gave us this story from your life, and then you brought it in to relate to the rest of us. There were a few other things you did that made it really relevant. The way you talked about the Trailblazers, a local favorite of ours. And then the way that you were able to type in and change it, that was pretty cool too. So that made it more interactive. The way that you asked us what we would say, and then you changed it on the fly. That made it very engaging. So I appreciated your catchy ending. What's your style? You ended with a definitive end. So making this beginning even more like more like the end, that would help. And then also just to jazz it up a little bit, you could be moving around, using the screen, kind of like Tamsin was talking about. You could be changing your voice with more emphasis on different points. That would make it even more engaging. But you really brought part of your personality to it and your life story, and you brought it back to us. So thank you very much, Daniel. Really appreciated having you here today.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Really appreciate your insights with that. Two incredibly wonderful speeches today. For my general evaluator report, this is a great meeting. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to emulate with PR Masters as we go back to our home clubs. I guess we could call them home clubs. Starting on time, making sure everyone is greeted as they join the meeting, no matter where in the world they come from. And that's really cool too, having people from all over the world join us, which is wonderful. Matthew did a great job in helping the meeting go along and smooth transitions, very brief transitions, which helps the timing to stay intact and strong. And as Carissa mentioned, we're staying on time. I believe that is helped by giving everybody the agenda. And so we can all peek at the agenda and see how we're doing as the time goes on. Really appreciate the way Maren interrupted Marcy just as a favor. It's hard to know as a speaker what other people are seeing. One of the things that I always wonder is how am I sounding? How am I looking? And to be able to stop somebody and say, what you're trying to do really isn't working. And I appreciated that very, very much. Our two evaluators did have a brief introduction before the speakers went and presented their topics. That's always a good way to kind of orient everybody to make sure that we're sort of in the right frame of mind to see what's going to happen with the speeches that are coming up. Tamsin, you're a wonderful speaker. You're a wonderful presenter. Even as an evaluator, it's good to see you again. You have very good gestures. You have very good expression, very good voice and vocal variety. Love the way that you use the screen in Zoom. You move around, and sometimes when we move too fast, we get blurry. You didn't do that. You moved around, but you weren't blurry. And that was really, really great. You also helped to point out what was strong in the speech, and that was a lot. Didn't cover every single point, but you covered a lot, which was great. But you also had some very strong challenges and some things that Marcy could work on. Thinking about how to use Zoom and the way that Zoom continues to update itself is a really important aspect for us as we present ourselves in the ways that we can. Thinking about doing this in a larger scale, all really good ideas. Andrea, the way that you really help to present and help us reframe the way that Daniel helped us think about what he did. Very good insights to that and very good ways of saying how to use props and how not to use props and encouraging him to use the screen. And the first half of your evaluation, you didn't use the screen too much. The second half you did. So you kind of followed your own advice there, which was really kind of cool. Really appreciate that. We have to be careful of not re-saying the whole speech when we do that. Adam, just a real quick suggestion. Very good table topics, a very good way to include people, but try not to ask for volunteers. Try to have a list of people to go down and ask them that, hey, if you don't want to do it, that's okay, but I'm asking you to step up to the plate because we're all here to step up to the plate at some point. We just don't want to push anybody else out of the way. Thank you very much for a very good meeting. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, Bill. What a fabulous general evaluation. Let's see here. Final thoughts on the meeting. We've had several PR Master monthly meetings, and I have to say this has been a favorite for me. I learned quite a lot from both of our speakers. I thought that the table topics and the Dear PR Master sessions elicited a lot of really great ideas. And as Bill mentioned, the evaluations were incredibly strong and hopefully very useful for our speakers as well. I have enjoyed immensely sharing the evening with all of you, and I'm going to hand off the meeting now to our president.
Thank you, Matthew. All right, I really want to thank you all for coming tonight. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be a president of this amazing club, and it's an honor to be with you all. Okay, I want to take a minute for a screenshot. Everybody, let's see, everybody come on camera, please. And let's do something. Okay, I'm going to do this and hold on. All right, everybody, woohoo! Yay! All right, got it.
You know,
Cool.
I forgot to do our round robin review on table topics. That's the one thing that we didn't get in there.
I think we also forgot our final timer. Is that what I saw?
Yeah. So
Okay.
let me step back. Let me step back in and go ahead and call on those. Well, let's do timer first.
Oh yeah, I will be glad to give you our evaluator times. Tamsin's evaluation was 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and Andrea's was 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Again, amazingly timely this whole meeting.
All right, thank you so much. And then let's go ahead and get the table topics eval.
Oh, are we doing that?
You know what? It's actually a mini engagement section.
Oh,
so
is
it is
it?
confusing. Tucked into that evaluation section, but it is kind of an eval. It was an idea developed by Joe Dudman, which is that we give an opportunity for each of us to have one word to say about the meeting. So think about a word that would express your experience in the meeting. And it can be positive, or it can be like, oh, I I was lost or something. It's okay to go either way. And I really appreciated that Joe gives that opportunity when he explained this the first time. I'm going to add one other element, one word to describe our meeting, and one takeaway. Is there a tone in your club that you've got highlighted for you and you're like, oh, my club does this? You can share that in a sentence. So one word, one sentence, something you want to share. My next request is, can everyone raise their hand? So in the reactions, can you put up your hand? Anyone who wants to participate, put your hand up. All right. Keep going. Bill doesn't want to participate today, or is it just the lag on my screen, Bill? If you're looking for where this is at, there's a reactions button down on the bottom bar for anyone who is on a laptop. Has a little smiley face with a plus. If you click on it, there'll be a raised hand option. Okay. We're going to do this by popcorn. My word of the day is delightful. The thing I think about my club is that they make me laugh every Saturday morning. I'm going to pass the ball to Daniel and lower my hand. Daniel will pass the ball to someone else and lower his hand. That way we'll know who wanted to participate and who's already gone. It's a popcorn method. So Daniel, take it away.
Fascinating. Zeta?
Joyful. Back to you, Matthew.
A pleasure. And my big takeaway was that there are qualitative and quantitative places to get data and feedback, but also to look for insights about the tone that we use from Daniel's speech. I'm going to swing it over to Jennifer.
Fun as always, and it makes me appreciate my club, New Horizons, Saturdays, 8 a.m. PST. And I will turn it over to Bob.
My word is informative. If I understood correctly, I would say a sentence about my club is courageous for jumping in and doing hybrid at 4 o'clock Sunday PST. You can find the Zoom on Toastmasters. I'm going to go with Joe.
My word would be interactive. I like the interactivity of this club and tonight's meeting. And I'll hand it off to John Gill.
Hi, Bob took my word. I was going to say informative, so I'll say enriching instead. And my takeaway is I really like the way you do that one word or one little saying evaluation from everyone. That's really cool how you did that. Oh, why not supposed to send it off to somebody else? Okay, Marcy.
Detailed. Great attention to detail. And what I appreciate about my clubs, both of them now, is the community.
What I find, you change the time.
And I will hand it over to Andrea.
Go to control panel and just put clock setting.
Thank you. I was going to fun. And then my takeaway is just how amazing all of you are. I'm going to pass it to Carissa.
Well, fun was my word too, but I think it's fine to reuse the word. My takeaway is that what we do affects our tone, what we do as well as what we say. And that's important to remember. I think even just giving a smile on your face affects tone. I would like to pass it on. Are there any more hands? I don't see any more hands, but I would like to see if Bev Ward would like to participate.
Thanks. I've been in Toastmasters meetings since 5 o'clock and it's now 10:30 here. So I'm just sitting here quietly. I think tonight's meeting has been inspirational. And I think I appreciate that all the things you guys have said really mirror the collaborative PR meeting that I was in prior to this. So I've got lots of good things to think about now to take back to my club as we continue our PR program for the staff of the Toastmasters here.
Did anyone not get a chance to participate that would like to? Well, I really enjoy hearing everyone's voice who wants to participate, seeing people on the screen, seeing strangers I don't know yet, but will soon hopefully become friends that I see over and over again. I love this little segment at the end, and I'm going to pass it back to our Toastmaster of the day, Matthew Douglas.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that concludes our meeting. I'm going to pass it back to Andrea one more time. Is there anything else that we need to cover from a business perspective to close out?
I don't think so. Our next meeting is on January 6th. And at this time, we've said our theme is PR campaigns. If people have speeches coming up, we may shift it a little, but to keep it simple, we'll probably keep it as PR campaigns. You're welcome to join our planning meetings. They happen on the third Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. Next month, our planning meeting will be on January 15th. Hope you can make it. So yes, I hope you can. And if you're a guest, I hope you decide to join. Think about how this club could support your professional goals. You're wonderful guests, and you'd be wonderful members. Please like and follow us on all of our social media channels, and don't forget to check out our website. Thanks again for coming, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye. Have a great night.